What's up, mother foxers? Let's do some turbo stuff. I wasn't lying. Turbos. So what we're doing here is we're taking off my turbos to have them serviced because I got a leak. I don't know, there's a coolant, there's two coolant lines that go to this and one oil feed. I don't know if any of them, it's the driver's side that's really leaking, but why I'm in here, you know. And then the other thing I'm going to do, the manifold. So this is about 150,000 miles, 155,000 miles on this truck. It's still in great shape. So a lot of these manifold gaskets like to, you know, bust and crumble around this kind of mileage. So we're gonna go through the task of pulling those off. So that should be some snapping fun. First thing we're gonna do is get in here and take off these hoses on here so we can get in there, because we gotta get the turbo off to do all that. And this is the passenger side, so I'll have to take the starter off it to get up in here to get the oil feed line. Coolant lines are a little bit of a, this is one of them right here, and it looks like it's okay. I gotta get in here and see what's going on. What that leak is, it's just a gasket or something, because the fittings that are on the turbos here where these lines go into, these go bad because they got an O-ring inside it. So I gotta get those. I just don't know what I gotta get right now. So, and that's if the place that does the rebuilds on these can even rebuild these. She said sometimes they're just too far gone. But I do have a buddy who's got 4 cores. So if one of these are bad, we can maybe swap it out and have it redone. The other thing I'm gonna do, the oxygen sensors, we're gonna get in there, replace them all. I got engine light on, which I no doubt from the dirty exhaust probably going through there with the oil, if that's what's leaking in the turbo. I don't know. That, and being 150,000 miles, you probably need new oxygen sensors on here anyway. So I'm gonna start pulling these off and get started. All right, the update is we got the exhaust off. 3 of them bolts we had to heat up. The top one over here is really hard to get to, so I just put the 1/2 inch impact on it and let it go. It took the stud out, not the nut, so that was interesting. You gotta pull these little clips off these coolant hoses here. This one looks scary. Looks scary. What's even scarier is trying to get this into the block on the back side, which you'd have to do from the bottom. There's not a lot of space to get up in there to try to put that, so I don't know how this is gonna go. Now that this is out, we gotta pry this out. And you just gotta go back and forth with it. And so you gotta be gentle. I don't know how you're gentle when you're prying on something, but I'll be back. Look at this. This is the bolt, one of 3 bolts that hold the manifold, or the turbo on the manifold. Everybody's got such a problem pulling these out. We put a 1/2 inch impact on all 6 of them, 3 on each side. They all came loose.
Here's the little sucker we gotta try to get
Yeah,
out.
there's a little clip. Mine's destroyed from the driver's side because it got stuck and hung up to where you couldn't get to it, so it's destroyed. Yeah, there's little clips that hold that coolant line on, and then you can pull the coolant line out, but you gotta be careful. That one was stuck in there, and I pried it with a pry bar to get it loose, and then I tapped it with a ball peen very gently until it finally came out, and then coolant everywhere. It just right where we got to get into to get the other clip from the other coolant line, which is up in there. I don't know how we're gonna do that, because right now the turbo's loose. It's free on both sides. Each turbo's loose. So I just got all 3 of my bolts are in. That one just spun right out on him. Of course, we're using a 1/2 inch impact, guys. Look at the head on this thing compared to the bolt itself. It's crazy. Trusty Cobalt here. This thing's been awesome for the price. I mean, I'd love to have them in Milwaukee, but not for 500 bucks. Thing's less than half of that, and it works fantastic. There you go. The driver's side is out. Passenger side's being a little bit of a bitch because the exhaust. One of these, like I said, I turned the stud right out of this thing. We're gonna still have to get that off because there's a gasket here we got to replace. But yeah, the jam nut that bitch and heat the crap out of it, get it off there. And generally, I guess the leaks are these two fittings. And the fun part about this is this right here is on the back side of the turbo. So this is sitting like this in the truck. Yeah, sitting like this. And there's the other line where you can't even see it and hardly get to it. So there's those fittings with that little rubber seal. Sorry about that. Those things just wear out, and that's what they do. See, so the coolant line's on here. This goes in here, and then the coolant line basically just pressure fits in there. But yeah, these things cause all kinds of problems. So I'm gonna get these off here. I'm gonna drop these things off at this turbo place here in Michigan. Guy said he's a one-man band, so we'll see what happens. He doesn't. He says he'll have to look at them to see if he can rebuild them. If not, I got a buddy who has 4. Yes, he's got 4 of these. It was just this fluke thing, dude. He was changing his timing chain, and in the center there's a sprocket. It's just a follower. When he got in there, his was shredded, and he needed one right away. And he called his buddy at a dealership. He said it would take time to get, and he goes, I don't have time to wait. And then he sent him a link to a guy who was selling a whole bunch of Ecoboost parts. So he went over there, and the guy just gave him a box and said, here, it had his sprocket in there, but he just says, here, just take it. I want to get rid of this stuff. 50 bucks. 4 turbo cores were in there, along with this other stuff. And I was like, dude, I may need a couple of those. So we'll see. If these can be rebuilt, cool, no big deal. But if not, I do have a couple of spares I can probably get a hold of to have them redo these. And then I just need to order these fittings. I got to order gasket on here, and then the gasket right here. It's a little gasket for the exhaust, and then I got to get the manifold gaskets. So pull this off here before it just falls. That's the last thing I need. Isn't that a cute little guy? There's a couple of those. Alright, there you go. There's both of them off. That starter's smaller than the one in my car. Of course, this is a V6. Took a few hours. Now we're going to have to throw some PB blaster on the manifold bolts and pray. There are the nuts. Good thing about these things are studs. So the nuts on here, if this, usually when these things snap, hopefully they snap like right there, which isn't a big deal because there'd be enough stud left on the other side to jam nut it off. So hopefully, and we got to get them off because this is part of the gasket right here. These things, like I said, 155,000 miles. These things are about to go out, and it happens. So as long as we're in here, we'll PB blaster them and pray tomorrow. But I doubt we'll have any luck with that. Okay, we came back out here today. Went to go get some swivels. This little bitch gave me some problems. We'll go into that later. Freaking whore. Anyway, so I had to go get a 3/8 impact swivel. I don't know what the hell the deal is with chrome swivels. Why aren't they designed like this? I am never buying a chrome swivel again. This is so much better. So you guys want to know the verdict? on all those bolts in there. Every single one of them are loose. We still got the other side to do, so I'm not like, you know, counting my chickens. You know what I'm saying? But I am excited, and the best part about this is none of the nuts are coming off. It's just pulling the studs right out of the block, which is ideal because I'm going to replace them with new ones anyways. Every single one of them are loose. Oh my goodness. Anyway, there's one that's back here, guys. Check this out. Right down there. That's hard to get to. I'm sitting here with a swivel, and the swivel is on a wobbler extension, and I just can't get it in there to get it. So I was like, all right, and the extension's or the deep well's too long, right? So I was like, man, I don't know, maybe I can get a shorty on there and get that extension on. Got the shorty on that bolt, or the nut, and I just could not get the extension on it. So I was like, all right, screw this. So I stuck the whole ratchet up in there, got on it, and I don't have much room over on this side where the ratchet's at. And I'm like, I can't extend the handle really. And I'm like pushing, but at the same time you're being like super careful, and all of a sudden it just gave. It gave way. I was like, no way! This one right here, these are 13 millimeters, what these are, but they're not, this one rounded it just with a 13 millimeter. So I went and got, you know, the Equiv in, you know, SAE, which is 1/2 inch, got it on there, and it rounded. All these I took off with 1/2 inch. So then, knowing my success over here with the shorty, I put the shorty on here and put the ratchet on there, and it came fucking loose. I was like, yes, they're all 8 loose, man. I heated this one and this one up, and this one back here. Those are the only 3 I heated. Then I shot them with PB Blaster again. But the other ones came loose, and I didn't do any of that too, except PB Blaster. But I don't know if the PB Blaster is really getting into the block. We still got the other side. We still got the other side. Okay, let me get this manifold off. Because I wanna savor this victory by getting that manifold off there. Before I go over to the other side, I'll just probably end up getting pummeled. So, I mean, success on this side, man. I'll hit you guys back for my successes, or my I don't know if we'd call them failures if stuff's just fateful to break. Well, look at that little guy. Isn't he cute? So, okay, let me talk to you guys about that bolt that is down there is giving me trouble, that I said I got on and started twisting. Yeah, that wasn't, I think it was just rounding. Remember when I said the chrome, these things are useless? I don't know why they make them. These ones are better. Problem with this is it was bulky and I couldn't get it in there. So I put this in, it's Pittsburgh. I was putting it under torque, man. I had that thing extended all the way out, and I was really trying to be careful not to snap this, and at the same time not snap the stud. And just going back and forth with it probably for about 10 minutes. And it finally, because you're trying to get this in a position where it'll twist, because that's what I hate about these things. They get in a position to where they won't turn. And I'm trying to get it in a position where it turned, and finally gave. And so I guess they're not completely useless. And like I said they were all the studs coming out. There's 2 left in the block. You can't tell. I mean, most of them I knew was the studs, but when I pulled these 2 off here, the nut came. I was like, oh, it was a nut. Okay. I don't know, should I go over there and try the other one? Maybe I'll try a couple. Other than that, we'll be done for the day. I think UFC's on. There you go. Another little cutie. Gaskets look like they were, like I said, they were on their way. They weren't there yet. Could have been another year or 2, and they probably would have went, but Yeah, we got them off, man. I came over here and I got them all loose. Of course, again, 2 studs still left in the block. Kind of in the same spot as the other side. Kind of weird, but I think that's just a coinkydink. Taking a little closer look here. Look at this is the driver's side. Look at this. So, yeah, just noticed that, and it's see how the rust is creeping in on it right here. I mean, I see this right here. That's got me a little nervous. I wonder if I should buy another manifold for this. They're not terribly expensive. But that right there, yeah, I don't like that at all. This is all pitted right here. So this was definitely going. Driver's side was going. Passenger side, not too bad, but I do see some carbon here, like it was starting to come apart, but we were still in the safe zone. But there you go, man. Holy crap, I thought this was going to be a nightmare. Glad it wasn't. This side probably took me an hour. This side probably took me 45 minutes. This is a lot, the driver's side is a lot easier to get to, guys. I think I figured this out. A lot of people, the thing is, man, they're studs, okay, with a nut. So your first instinct is grab a deep well, okay? Grab a deep well, and because you need the space, right? The only reason I grabbed a shorty was because of the front lower right bolt. It's hard to get to. You can put a deep well, but the problem is you can't get a socket in it because it's too far, because there's this piece of the truck is there in the way. So when I found out I could put a shorty on there and get a ratchet on, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, you know, because you think you wouldn't be able to with the studs, but you can. So if you're doing this, that's the secret, guys. You can use a shorty and use a 1/2 inch, because 13 millimeter is what those nuts are, but because of corrosion, you want to get a 12 or a 1/2 inch, because it's slightly smaller than a 13, and it fits on there snug. And that's how I did it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to tighten it. And when I tightened it, there was no go there. So then I went to loose and tried to loosen it, no go there. So then I tightened it again, and that's when I felt on every single one of them this happened. So I'm like, okay. So I put it to loose, and then I extended my ratchet, because I got an extendable ratchet. I just kept pulling it, and you want to be so careful, because you extend that handle, you're putting a lot of torque on it, and that's where things can break. I was trying to maintain control, and then every single one of them popped loose. I think the secret to doing this on an Ecoboost is using shorty sockets. Because they're studs, everybody thinks you got to use a deep well, exactly what I thought, but I was able to fit a shorty on there, and it just gives you more leverage, I think, and just there's not this top pull to it, you know, where, you know, things can break. You're more centered over the nut. So I think that's what did it. I'm glad that's over with. I'm glad now I can get gaskets and studs and everything. I'm so happy. I was nervous about that, seeing people breaking that stuff online, but I think we figured out the secret. Use a shorty. Use a shorty, man. I'll give you an update when I get these things back. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Later. I ran my mouth saying how crappy the chrome ones are, and they are. Ran my mouth about those things, and then one ends up saving my ass on one of the studs.